Well, good morning, everybody. This is Phil Gibson with the Unit Group at Keller Williams. I'd like to introduce Andrew Perry with Strategic Financial Partners. And Andrew is a financial advisor with this group, and we're going to go through a few questions today about financial advising and what you need to do to kind of get prepped when you talk to a financial advisor. Hopefully, it'll be Andrew. How's it going, Andrew? How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Phil. How about yourself?
Doing really well. Well, let's jump in. So if I'm somebody that needs to start investing, Andrew, how should I set my goals? How do I go about establishing goals on financial advising or financial planning?
I think the most important thing is you really need to start by, painting a picture of, what you want for yourself and family. Do you want to start a business? Do you want to live in a certain neighborhood? Is it sending your kids to college? What age do you want to retire? Where do you want to retire? Once we kind of have that information, then from there we can really start to develop a plan to get you exactly where you want to be. But start by thinking about what exactly you want to achieve in the next 5, 10, 20 plus years. And one thing to keep in mind is, financial planning, it's not static, it's dynamic and ongoing. So, your goals, your objectives, they're going to change over time, and we may need to go in there and critique the plan over time. But it's important just to keep the long-term big picture in mind.
Do you think that's a challenge for some people when they're looking at, do you develop short-term and long-term goals both, or is it, how do you define or look at that for an individual client?
The best advice that I can give is don't overthink it. Again, just try and imagine what you want your financial future to look like. If I guess if money wasn't an objective, what would you like for you and your family along that same timeline? And then from there, we can kind of help you set reasonable goals and expectations along the way. But the biggest thing is don't overthink it and just start just writing down exactly kind of the path you want your life to head.
So you hear this term fiduciary kind of thrown around. What does that mean?
So a fiduciary is someone that is legally obligated to always work within their client's best interest while they're providing investment advice or portfolio management. Not all financial professionals are fiduciaries. An advisor that is operating in a fiduciary capacity, though, should be providing you with the highest standard of care possible and eliminating conflicts of interest.
Okay. And then, kind of related to that, what type of costs are related, associated with financial planning?
Financial advisors are paid a number of ways, but typically it's going to be through fees and commissions. Really just depends on what services that they are providing for you. But then in addition to the services that the advisor is providing, some investment products do have their own internal fees as well, which the client does need to be made aware of. Some examples of those could be, mutual fund expense ratios, sub-account fees, brokerage fees, et cetera. They're all going to be a little bit different for everyone depending on the plan that's put in place. But again, something that the client needs to be made aware of before implementing the plan.
When you're looking at some of this, I know there's a bunch of different vehicles that are available to people out there as far as where they can invest their money. They maybe they're bringing over a 401k from a previous company, or they're setting up a 401k with you, or maybe they're just doing, stocks and bonds types of stuff like that. And there's so many different platforms out there now that, they call them free platforms. What's your kind of thought process or philosophy around, all of this, all the different vehicles that are out there? How do you establish what your philosophy on investing for, let's say it's any age group, say it's maybe we initially start with a younger person, say in the, 20 25 to 40 range, and then, 40 to maybe 55. And then from there, I'm assuming you have different philosophies for each group.
Yeah, and again, it's going to be different for everyone that you're dealing with because everyone has, different goals and objectives and different risk tolerances. The most important thing again is really just to imagine what you want your financial future to look like and then be able to communicate that to your advisor. Once the advisor has gathered all the facts, which are, where you are now and where you want to be, you can really work together to develop a plan. And when it comes to investments, allocations, certain benchmarks to, compare your portfolio performance to, they're always going to be different for everyone because not everyone, again, has those same goals and risk tolerance. But it is important that you and your advisor are communicating regularly so that if something does change and affects your long-term goals or the amount of risk that you're willing to take, then that plan can be updated accordingly.
Okay. Are financial planners licensed? Are all financial planners licensed, or are they required to be licensed in the state of Colorado?
Yeah, so every financial advisor that you're working with should be licensed, and there's quite a few licenses and designations that financial advisors can obtain, and it really just depends on what services that you're going to be providing to your clients. Standard requirements, just an example, are the securities licenses such as the Series 7, the 63, the 65, the 66. I mean, there's a whole book of them.
Okay.
Advisors that want to offer insurance as well also need to be licensed within that state. But I would say in terms of assessing a new advisor and their qualifications, one of the best resources is through the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, also known as FINRA. And if you go to FINRA's website, which is finra.org, there's a tab titled Broker Check, and that will allow you to input the financial advisor's name. That's going to tell you everything about the advisor's background, their years of experience, their licenses, disciplinary actions, criminal record, bankruptcy, tax liens. It's all public information. So I think that's
Right.
always a great starting point that I direct people toward.
Okay. And then, do most financial planners, I've heard the term custodian used. Do most financial planners have a custodian? And then I guess, what is a custodian?
Yeah, so most financial advisors that are providing portfolio management services do use a third-party custodian, which is basically a bank or another financial institution. And their role is just to, hold the investments and securities for safekeeping. Some examples are Fidelity, Charles Schwab, BNY Mellon. Those are some of the more reputable and widely used custodial firms. And then the advisor will actually use that company's platform to manage their clients' assets.
Okay. So, Andrew, what happened that you think, an individual, whether they're coming to see you or they're looking to engage with a financial advisor, what other questions should somebody ask to make sure that they're, engaging with the right person that's, obviously trustworthy? Because, you got some resources here that we could potentially be investing over a long period of time.
Sure. Yeah. Trust is really the biggest thing that needs to be established. And it's hard to do that up front. Trust is something that's certainly earned over time. But, when you are engaging with a financial advisor, I mean, there's obviously the questions that you need to ask up front. You need to learn about their background, their years of experience in the industry, what services that they are going to be providing, the licenses and credentials that they hold. And then lastly, what are the costs associated with their services? And the advisor should be, very upfront and forthcoming about providing that information. And again, the cost of services is going to be different for everyone, depending on what type of plan that you're going to be putting in place for the client. But it's something that before the client decides whether or not they are going to implement that plan, they know exactly what costs are associated with it.
Sure. Okay. So how long have you been doing this, Andrew?
I've been in financial services for approaching about 10 years now.
Okay. Okay. And if people wanted to get a hold of you, how would they go about doing that?
You can reach me directly on my office number, which is 720-305-9481.
Okay. And I'll be including that in this video for those that are watching, and you'll get a chance to catch up and chat with Andrew about some financial advising services with his organization. Any last comments, Andrew, that you'd like to make?
I don't think so. I think we covered just about everything from a you know basic level.
Okay.
But by all means, if any other questions arise, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, and that's a great point. The purpose of this was really to make an introduction to the financial advising world, kind of answer some basic questions that people might be looking at, and then really I think, at least from my experience, and you tell me if you agree or disagree with this. Really, ultimately, it's sitting down with a financial advisor and making sure there's a match. Do you personally get along with this person, or do you feel like they're trustworthy? Just from your own perspective, because sometimes personalities don't mesh, and you can definitely interview other. It's almost like an interview is the way I looked at it. And
It absolutely is an interview.
yeah,
You're hopefully establishing a relationship with this person that is going to be long term, and you're placing a lot of trust and faith with this person
right,
to manage your one of your most valuable assets. So yeah, there absolutely needs to be a good match.
yeah, yeah. So, oh, one last question: is the best way to kind of connect with you? Would that be at your office, or like what we're doing here through a Zoom call, or are you open up all of the above?
Yeah, I'm open to all of the above. I mean, it's certainly preferable if you can come to the office. It's not necessary though.
Yeah,
But we do understand that for an example, for a married couple with kids, to be able to take off for 2 hours in the middle of the day to come talk to an advisor is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. So we try and be as accommodating as reasonably possible.
sure. Okay. Well, great. Everybody, Andrew Perry with Strategic Financial Partners. Thanks again, Andrew, for sharing your thoughts on the financial advising community. My name's Phil Gibson. I'm with the Unity Group at Keller Williams. Everybody have a great day. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email us as it pertains to buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Beth and I would love the opportunity to work with you, and I hope this video was educational. Thank you.